Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here. Welcome. Messenger of the Covenant, breaker of the seven seals. This is another War Talk session from Critical Analytics. Today I want to discuss a couple of things in general. And have a little couple of points I want to make. But as I've been saying, brothers and sisters, we are at war. What does that mean? You have to put things in context. It says a time of unprecedented trouble, and we're in it now. It's just warming up. It's about to reach the boiling point. But it's hard for some of you to understand because you've never been in a war before. Vietnam War, that was somewhat of a war. But then had World War I, World War II ended with 2 atomic bombs being dropped, the worst weapons known to mankind thus far. There's much greater weapons than that. Those are really basic firecrackers in our frame, in our technology, because atomic explosion is essentially a miniature star. And we have stars trillions of times bigger than that, much more powerful. But that's a science question I'm not going to go into right now. But if you consider that, consider if you was in Hiroshima when they dropped that bomb. See? When people all around you, their flesh was just falling off their bones. Everything was on fire. You couldn't even hear because the blast was so great. Then you have some idea what it was like, because that was a full fury of Adam. See, fighting against death. He threw his full fury in there. See. And that's what they were faced with. Because Japan represents, that whole region represents death according to INJIL. And that is nothing compared to what's about to happen. Nothing. Unprecedented. Not trying to scare anyone. I'm trying to get you to understand what's going on. Those that study INJIL, you don't have to worry about these things. But you need to understand them so you can communicate them accurately to our people. See? Because that's what we try to communicate to them before it hits. So they can be prepared, because many will not be prepared. That's what I call the shock of the hour. The greatest shock ever. Nothing in World War II compares to what's about to happen. Nothing in World War II caused children to be gray-headed. Nothing in World War II had men walking around drunk, not having had a drink. Nothing in World War II had people had heart attacks in anticipation of what's about to happen. What do you think they would do when they actually see it happening, the event? They have heart attacks anticipating the event. What do you think they would do once they end the event? So we've been praying for this day. Now we talked about, it said the new nation will be born, right? It'd be like birth pains. Who do you think is having these birth pains? Who is bringing this new nation in? It says Suleiman, he's the one that's bringing this nation in. He's the one having the birth pains. And believe me, to me, I mean, I hate to say it this way, bro. I'd be real with you, right? Because I want everyone to understand that this is a very serious matter. See? Maybe I shouldn't put in context I'm going to put in, but I think I need to kind of give you some idea of what this is all about. You take a woman that has been raped. Now she's pregnant, right? And then now she's giving birth to a very difficult birth. Very difficult. She's going through all this pain and everything that she didn't want it. She didn't want it forced on her. Now she's going through all this pain and everything. You see? Okay. So think of what's going through her mind. She's angry, she's upset, but yet still once the baby comes, she still loves the baby. See? And that's similar to my situation. Not saying I was raped or anything, but I kind of felt like I was in a way because, like I told everybody, I was tricked into this situation. I didn't want it. I had no idea I'd be doing anything like this. I was tricked into it. Because when I, like I said, I kind of like stumbled on it. Like I said, I was at my wife's home. You know, we went to see her family. She went upstairs. I stayed in the car. I was listening to the radio, and you know, there was no. I don't think there was any even internet at that time. This was like 1989. I was listening to the radio, and the guy, I flipped to the channels. And this guy started. He's saying the Revelation. He's reciting it. So wow, and I got my attention. So I let it play, and I said, "Hey, that's interesting." Because, like I said, I'm a genius at breaking down riddles. That's a fact. I love doing it, right? Then I ran to that. I'm recognized as a riddle, right? And I'm saying, "Whoa, I think I can figure that one out." That's my approach. I mean, I'm not thinking about any breaking seals. And I ain't know anything about that. Because I recognize the symbolic language. I said, I think I can figure this one out. I can make sense of this. Right, so that's my beginning journey. It was Easter morning, 1989, Easter morning. Interesting, right? So I started. Had no idea what I was in for. Had no idea whatsoever. See, I'm not going into all the details, right? Because a lot of incidents happened, things that came together, right? When I started getting into it, right, it took me a while to realize there was even a key. It took a while to realize there was even a key. See? And that was like roundabout way finding that out. So that was difficult. See? Then find a transliteral, because I realized I couldn't use the King James Version, then find a transliteral. So those are obstacles, right? Then I started getting into it, and I didn't realize, that, because see, I was under the impression like everybody else was that, Elijah Muhammad had probably done this because he talked about it, but I didn't know it was complicated as it was. Once I got into it, I realized, no, he didn't talk about it very much. He talked about it very little, so he didn't really, if he broke it down, he didn't tell anybody. Because a lot more in there than he was talking about. So we got, and I'm still going on, right? And I started realizing things. And then I starting to get some idea what's just going on here. See? And then the pressure started building up. See? And then I felt like I was being tricked after a while, because when you go into it, it says, because once I figured the key, there was a key, then you got to figure out how to use the key. See, getting the key is not breaking the seals. You see? So then you got to use the key, then you got to start breaking the seal. So you first got how to use the key, then you got to start then you got to realize these seals, got to figure out what the seals are. See? And then once you figure out what the seals are, then you got to start breaking them. So it was a process. And it got pressure built. I didn't realize I was being sucked in. And then I saw where it says, well, when he broke the seals, all these great things are going to happen. Personally, like, well, worthy is the Lamb to receive the riches and wealth and all this stuff. I says, well, I'm thinking, well, I'm breaking these seals, and at that time, that's going to be the resurrection. Everybody's going to come in, because that's what I'm reading, that's what I'm thinking. See? And so I said, okay, well, let me get into that. So that got me more encouraged to get deeper into it. And at the time, I spent a lot of time, because I was a contractor, right? I had my own business and everything. I was a contractor, and I was spending more and more time in the INJIL and less time doing that. I mean, I still took care of my family, everything. We was doing very well. I had a mini mansion. We were doing very well, right? But I got more and more drawn into it. And then when I found the seals, I broke the first one, right? And I'm thinking, oh man, all these great things going to happen. Not that I was looking to lift myself up, because definitely wasn't my, if you know me, that's definitely not me, because I'm a hermit. I don't want to, that's why I'm not a good speaker, because I don't talk very much to people. This is more than I've talked to my whole entire life. See, and that's another problem. That became a problem too. So, I'm thinking all these great things going to happen, and I had people starting to gravitate around me, right? And then I'm about 2 or 3 years into this thing, right? I'm studying, because I think my first victory, because like I said, 1990s when I broke the first seal, right? A year later, right? But it took me a while to get to the other ones, right? And at that time I saw that there was going to be a war in the Middle East, so I published it, right? I made flyers and stuff and told people, because there wasn't no internet, there was no none of that stuff, right? So flyers I pasted all over the downtown area and everything, and people thought I was nuts. I'm out there putting flyers on trees and nailing it and all that kind of stuff, right? And I said we live in a very expensive neighborhood, very exclusive neighborhood and everything, and I'm going around door to door. Well, not exactly in my particular neighborhood, but nearby neighborhoods. I'm going door to door, right? Knocking on doors and leaving pamphlets and stuff, right? And then the war occurred. That's how people started gravitating. And then it came to realize that this wasn't going to happen immediately. It's going to be about 20 years in the future, 25 years in the future. I didn't want to lie to anybody, so I told everybody the truth about what was going on. All of a sudden, everybody started disappearing. It was just me by myself, and then my whole world started collapsing because they read Jonah, right? He lost everything overnight. It's like a worm came up and destroyed everything overnight, and that's exactly what happened. That's how I ended up going to Florida. That's what it says. It said that he went to a place where his son beat down on him. See, that's exactly what happened. But I'm into it now. They got me locked in. See. And in retrospect, I thought about that. I said, man, these scientists who wrote this book, I started questioning the book. I said, what the hell? They tricked me. I'm going to all this stuff. They tricked me into this thing. So I started getting kind of bugged about it. You see, I'm still not fully aware of exactly what all this means. And I was really appreciating the fact that I'm supposed to be this Suleiman. See, I'm reading about myself. I didn't really, it didn't really hit me. And I'm getting deeper and deeper. And I'm saying, oh, man, what the hell? And all the time, I'm getting deeper into it. And now I got all these problems I got to deal with. See, I'm thinking, because first of all, right, I got to be able to figure this thing out, right? Then I got to be able to communicate with people, put the information out there. But then how was I going to do that? So I got me a website. They had websites at that time. They had the internet by that time, I guess. I had me a website. There wasn't no Facebook, anything like that around. So I had me a website, and I was, and how you gonna promote your website? So I was putting flyers and stuff, telling about my website and stuff. So I was doing a lot of footwork. You see, putting ads in papers. I used to put ads in papers and stuff, right? All the time I'm being pulled more deeper and deeper into this. See? Then I started learning about demons and things like that. And I already know about Farrakhan. I didn't need the angel to know about him. I knew him from Jump Street. I mean, I knew about Exodus, and I scoped him right away. So that was, right? But then I saw the word, I got to go and go talk to people. I didn't want to go talk to them. I didn't want to talk to them. Right? So I ended up going into a contract up in Indiana, right? And that's where I just outright refused. I said, I'm not going to talk to these people. Next thing I know, right, a situation came up where they asked me. I didn't see. I wasn't into Jonah that deeply, right? I knew something about it, but I didn't connect myself with Jonah. I didn't connect that connection at that time. I wish I had it, right? Because then Allah would save me a lot of trouble, right? So they asked me, this foreign country, just like I said in Jonah, this foreign country asked me, would I go out to Guam and do a contract, and set up a system for them. See? So I agreed to do it. Somewhere out there, I didn't realize where I was going, because I said I wasn't going and telling Asian Islam nothing. So because I made that decision, right, I ended up, this whole thing came up, ended up out there, next thing I know, I'm down, locked down in the ground for 3 years. That was hell. They threw me in jail, put me on trial, I had no money. You have no idea how much pressure I was under. Only thing saved me, right, is I did know about the 5 pillars of Islam at that time. I wasn't making my salats. I've been making that for years, right? I knew about that. I knew that would mess with Elijah Muhammad's around. That doesn't mean I was exposed to the pressure. I was able to deal with it. I was under intense pressure. These people were trying to lock me up forever. Then I come to realize about the story about Jonah, and I said, okay. See? So I'm supposed to come back. See, think of the timing now. See, because they would say I was supposed to tell them in, and this black person to be running the country, and Obama wasn't elected yet. He was about to be elected, right? And he's going to be the last president. That's what it says, in Daniel about Belshazzar. And he said, you got to go. He said 40 years, from Elijah Muhammad. So 40 years from that, what is 2015, right? They can bring, America's will come to an end, and and that's what I was supposed. That's what Jonah said he was told to tell. So I said, okay. When I realized that was the situation, I came back and said, I'll do it. So I come back and started doing that. Started talking about that and it didn't happen. Just like I said in Jonah, it didn't happen. And you talking about somebody I was pissed off. Oh, I was fit to go. I was so angry. I mean, I done put everything. I lost my family, lost everything I had, right? And put all the time in this, right? And this is 2015, so I'm 25 years into this thing. You see? And all the stuff I already went through even before that, the Guam thing. I mean, I tell all kinds of stories, right? See? And and I was, it says in there, it says he was so angry, he said him and God got in an argument about it. Said, wait a minute, you told me to go and do this, and I knew that you wasn't going to do what you said you were going to do, right? And I didn't want to do it, so then I get thrown in this island for 3 years, right? Beat down and everything. They didn't beat me up over there, but they wanted to, right? So I was protected, right? But and then I come back and do it, and then it happened just like I said, right? And then you don't do it. And what's all that about? You see? And John said he was so angry he wanted to die. I said, the hell with this thing. I don't be about this no more. I mean, what's the point? If I'm going to go through this, the prophesy, then the prophecies don't work. What's the point? What's the point of it? Why I'm going through all this hell for? You see? So that's probably about the angriest time I've ever been in my life. I was extremely angry about it. See? Because at that point, I was pretty close to bring my family back together because they listened to that prophecy. Said, yeah, okay. They came on board. And then what just happened? lost him forever. It was totally gone. This guy don't know what he's talking about. But the prophecy was right there. So he's talking about somebody being angry. See? And that's only, that's 6 years ago? 2015, right? That's about 6 years ago, right? 2021, yeah. And that was just the beginning of my troubles. Because now I start getting, understanding, getting really appreciate the depths of the book, really getting into it, because like I had a master, I had control of it, but to really get into it, I started getting, and I said, well, now the problem is, how do I communicate to people? Because I'm not a communicator. How can I explain to people that they can understand it? And that's probably one of the hardest parts of it all together. See? And then I'm very protective. Because like I said, you take a woman, part of her maternal instincts about her child is she went through 9 months and she went through all this hell. So therefore when the child is born, she's very protective of it. Because look what she done put in to get this child here. So that's why she's so protective of it. And people say, man, you really sensitive about that book. I said, you damn right I'm sensitive about it. If you went through all the hell I went through to get this knowledge and to go through hell, you'd be sensitive about it too. Because it didn't come easy. Right? And it wasn't something I was looking to do, I was aspiring to do. Like I said, I felt I got tricked into it. But since I realized what was at stake, I said, I'll do it. But one thing everybody always knew, I always loved my people. That's why I went to Nation of Islam. This wasn't the first sacrifice. I told you I sacrificed everything. I had set up my military. I'd been 4 years now. I was a sergeant. I was doing all this. I was set, going to GI benefits. I was going to college. I was coming back home. I was going to give me a port. I was paying for a portion and everything. I was coming back. I was going to be the man. I was going to be the man in Newark. See? And once I saw it, just because I saw in Malachi, I dropped everything because of that. And we looked for Elijah and put myself at risk, because they could have put me in Leavenworth because I walked away from combat zone. He said, oh, how was I afraid? I was only there twice. Right? See? In fact, when I was the second time, I wasn't even in the combat. I was in Saigon. I mean, I had me a nice apartment, right? And I was, had a night shift. I had a night shift so all day long. I was hanging out in down Saigon, right? Doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing, right? Partying and carrying on, right? So I wasn't even in danger or any combat. And that was great duty, right? For Vietnam, I wasn't in the field or anything like that like I was the first time. So I'm prone to do things like that because my disposition is, if I see a 2 ways to go and I see the right way and the wrong way, it's clear to me the right way is, I'm going the right way no matter what the cost is. That's been that decision made that decision my father passed, because I had nobody to tell me what to do. Me and my sister and I were about the 2 dumbest people on the planet, because we had she was even worse because she had no mother for 5 years. She was 8 years old, mother passed, right? And she was 13 years old, my father passed, and she was, a woman needs a mother. So, and her father didn't teach her anything, he didn't teach me anything either for that matter, right? Not knocking him because, he was in his pain, he was suffering for the whole 5 years. So it was like hell on earth. And then when he left, both of us had no knowledge of anything, nothing. No knowledge of what it meant to be a male or female, or what to expect in life or anything, nothing. We were about the 2 dumbest people on the planet. Nobody cared for us. We was on when I was 14, she was 13. And I said, well, I got what I'm going to do. So I turned to the Bible. I said, well, I didn't never believe in Christianity, that kind of stuff. I said, I got to find some kind of something to guide me, something. I got to have something to work with. See, so that's the story, So the thing is that I've always been, even then, standing for my people. Even then, before I made, I knew something was wrong with those devils. I knew that I didn't have nothing to do with them. Nothing. I ain't call them devils, but I wouldn't. And before I knew about slavery or anything, I knew something was wrong with them. I don't have nothing to do with them. Nothing. See. Now I was in the military. I used to fight with them all the time. All the time. I ain't take no crap. When they come at me, I come at them. So I'm just saying, I have to say, brothers and sisters, I'm trying to give you some idea of what's going on here. See? This is very serious business. And the reason why I act the way I act about a lot of things because of the way it took to get this to you. This didn't come to you because somebody hit me in life. Nobody came and gave me a book and says, here's the book, like Prophet Muhammad got and everything. No. I had to find the book first of all. Then realize it is a book and and go and figure out what's going on with it. And not only that, but I also had to figure out the mathematics apart from the book. Because that was something I was always studying anyway. So none of this came easy, and I don't expect anyone who listens to this, right, to know what I know. I don't expect, I have no pretense like a mother when she first brought a baby. She don't expect the baby to start walking or talking and go in the bathroom. She don't get mad because it boo-boo on itself. Because what's going to, eventually all that's going to happen. She's going to take care of herself. But she's got to nurse and take care of it. And that's where I view people as trying to work with this. But they need to understand, right, what this is all about. See? And not be as sensitive to it as I am, but be appreciative of how it came into existence. Like a father, right? He got to appreciate what the mother had to do to bring that baby. He can't just say, oh man, I got the baby. Hell with you. He got to appreciate the sacrifice and everything she had to go through, right? He'll never understand it, but he can appreciate it. Because the baby just didn't pop up out of nowhere. It took a lot of suffering, pain, and everything to bring that baby to existence that the mother knows and no one can know better than she knows. That's why it says bringing this nation into existence like birth pains. Giving birth. Who's giving birth to it? Very serious, brothers and sisters. And we got people standing by trying to abort it. Stillborn. It's very serious. This war talk. I explained to you, everybody on this planet is your enemy trying to abort this baby from coming in. That means if they can't abort the baby, they're going to try to abort the one that's pregnant with the baby. And they've been doing that for years. I'll show you some examples. They've come to me all kinds of ways. See? But I never talked to Master Muhammad. I never talked to him. Never met the man. If I had met him, it's because I didn't know it. He came. I had people walk into my life that was out of, says, I can't explain. So, well, I'm not going to say, I don't know what that was, right? But things has happened like that. But I've never met him and talked to him. I've never done that. See? But I know he's protecting us. And I'm absolutely sure if it came to a life and death situation that he would not allow anything to happen to me. Because it says, he that protects Israel, neither sleeps nor slumber. That means he's protecting this nation. He's protecting the source of this nation. Remember, Jesus said he wasn't worried about anything. Because he says, my Father can bring down 10,000 angels anytime I call on them to protect me. So I never made the call. I haven't had to make the call. But it says in the book, it says, when he called, he says, When he called, the Father answered. I haven't called. I haven't had the need to, 'cause I can protect myself right now. I've been doing it so far. And in fact, but when I was in Guam, I kind of felt like, there was a hidden hand there, because some things happened there. Like, I understand mathematics, and I understand that, when you do these things, you cause, the mathematical things. But some things were like, I said, maybe, I don't know. But that wasn't easy over there. In fact, it's not even over now, because about a couple weeks ago, they sent me some letter about some bitch. They trying to come at me about some other stuff. So, y'all brothers and sisters, I'm just trying to get you to understand the seriousness of the matter here. Not to scare you, but you need to understand it so you can be able to effectively communicate to our people. Because if you don't understand it, you're not going to be able to communicate it. Once you understand it, it's going to come through in the way you interact with how you talk to people. See, that's not saying you have to go out and do any of this. Nobody's telling you have to go out and speak to anybody or give any presentation. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's ever asked you to do that. Not one time I've asked anyone to do that. Those that are doing it, they're doing it because of their own volition. Fine, that's fine. It's helpful. Like I said, but do it. The only rule is do it and do it right. And we appreciate it, respect it. Don't distort it. See? Because this is something that a lot of suffering, a lot of sacrifice and everything's went into it. And you take something that you really work hard for, you don't want anybody screwing around with it. It's an easy come, easy go. If somebody gave you, you don't care. But you don't want to spend $1,000 for this beautiful dress and everything, man. Nobody be like, you come close to spill some of that dress. They're going to be in a battle royal. So we're going to talk about a few things, this war talk, brothers and sisters. But before you can have a war, see, you got to kind of, they call it soften up the area. See? You got to lay out to get the people ready, understand what it's all about. Like they said, so-called Gulf War. Some of you old enough to remember how they got the people all excited, everything for it. First, you got to get everybody ready. You got to get troops ready. Ready to fight. You got to get them angry. You got to get them, because otherwise they got to be emotionally ready for it. Otherwise, they get run over. So I need to make sure you understand what we're talking about here. Because the angel that's coming to you, that's a very valuable thing. That's why I call it the blood of the Lamb. I mean, a lot of sacrifice and everything to get this information to you, brothers and sisters. See? And like I said, this is the hardest task known. Elijah Muhammad was given the hardest task known at that time. This is harder than what he had to do. Because this is harder. Much harder. Okay? And like I said, Jesus prays out, please, if you give this bitter cup to somebody else, once he realized what he had to go through, he didn't want it. Nobody wanted it. You think a lamb wants to be slaughtered? Be sacrificed? Oh, okay, I'll jump on the altar and just cut my throat. No. But that was, I had that conflict between going through all this, and I've had a very strong love for my people. I'm not sure where that came from, but it's always been there. See? And that's what kept me saying, okay, I'll go ahead and do this. Because if I didn't, there's no way in the world I'd put up to all I went through to get this information to you. So brothers and sisters, if you understand it, right, appreciate it, right, understand it, and if you can, right, communicate to our people, fine. Make sure you do it correctly. Take your time. See? That's the whole thing. I encourage everybody to do everything their way. Just learn to do it correctly, do it right, with respectfully. Don't distort it, don't contort it. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So I'm going to go ahead and move into our war talk. I'm going to talk a couple of examples here. I think I talk a lot longer than I expected to, right? So, and we see over here on the left, you see, this is us battling over here. This is the analytical mind battle against the spatial mind. Battle royale right here in America. It was set up like that. See, that's Suleiman fighting against the Antichrist. Christ against the Antichrist. The war started in 1948. Now, there's been some misconceptions, and we need to understand this clearly. So I've been building up this for quite some time. See, I've been talking about in a lot of contexts, like their vision, our vision, right? Their mechanical, electronic vision, right? As our biological vision, right? So now I'm getting to the meter, because like I said, I'm trying to build up these things. But they say line upon line, and I forget how the Bible says it, right? But the point is that we build up to it. And I'm moving much faster than I would like to, but the time is running out, so we have to. See? So I'm hopefully that I can communicate this effectively enough so you all can take, right, those that are listening, that are standing with this, can take it and put it in a context that other people, our people can understand. But even so what we're trying to do right now, we're trying to get as many people prepared as we can. Because the rest of people, they're coming in. We don't have to do anything right now. We just, right? They're coming in. What we're trying to do now is get enough people prepared so when they do come in, there'll be people rise to direct and tell them what to do. Because that's going to be a very critical phase. Because just me, yeah. But the point is, a lot of people will stumble over themselves, and they, you only got one beacon. If you got all these ships, some ships going to crash in the shore because it gets too much for one beacon. So we're trying to set enough beacons as possible. That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to raise our people here. We're trying to set beacons because they're coming. They're going to be raised when Master Muhammad takes down falls when they're coming together. We're preparing for that. That's what we're doing. So we get as many people as possible that are beacons, right? So what happens? Because they come in and they come, like I said, they come in companies. So the more people that we can get to understand what's going on, the more beacons we get, the easier the process will be, and less people will be lost in that process, put that away. So we got here with something that's spatial, analytical, ambidextrous. Ambidextrous is like both hands, even-handed. So for trillions of years, we was even-handed. The first God, right? It's like he was even, there was no gender, right? It was even, right? So I use that as an analogy to this. The same idea, right? But there was some other gender as opposed to, on the physical side, as opposed to the mental side. So that's the analytical, the right side is the spatial, right? It's got all the colors, all the colors, right? Because it's spatial, right? See, it's creative. Right, it's got all the colors. The other side don't have any colors, it's analytical, just straightforward. See? It needs, it's like banjo music as opposed to, really get into soul and hip. We put color into it. They don't have no color. We put color into it. See? But that's the way our minds were. And then, because of Dr. Shabazz and Dr. Yaqub, we split. See? So now you got the analytical mind over here with just a little bit of spatial. It's a little bit of spatial, 10% spatial, but mostly at the core of it is analytical. See, a little spatial on the surface, right? See? So it can communicate with the spatial over here. His spatial, it's got a little analytical around the edges. 10%. See? That's the spatial. That's us. See, our brain's almost all spatial. Before it was just half. That means we only have half our creativity. We had our power of creativity was half. In other words, half our brain was for creative and half of it was analytical. But now all our brain is almost spatial. That means our creativity is double, much brighter than it ever was before. much brighter than ever was before. That means we're going to bring a nation that will never be destroyed, be beautiful, and just get better and better and better and better and better. A new creation that no one could even imagine. It says no one, the Bible says no heart or no mind, right, or I could even imagine what's we about to bring in. You already see signs of it right now because all this technology is from us. But the point is, it's like you have a guy, you have a person that's very creative, right? But he has to go to someone to bring his creation into being. He got to go technician. That technician take that, he can take, like you give him fire. He can use that fire for destructive reasons or use it for constructive reasons. So we're dealing with devils, so they take that and they use it to control the world and beat the world out every day. Using the power of injury, we give them that creative power we give them for all kinds of evil doings, making mischief, shed blood. That's in power. We give them all that. So all this technology isn't coming from them. I keep saying it's not. If it's coming from them and they so creative and everything, then how come this the only nation on the earth, America, that all the innovation is coming from? It's not coming from Bern, Germany. It's not coming from Russia. It's not coming in those places. It's only coming from here. And all they do is mimic what they learn from here. Copy what they learn from here. All innovations coming from here. Because we're here, we're the gold and the silver, as it tells you in Exodus. We creative power, but they're using that creative power, right? Because all this ideas come from here. Who's furnishing these ideas? Electronics, right? Biological, this medical advance, all this. Where's this coming from? Why is it just coming from them? Why is it not coming from Germany and France and all these places? Nuclear power and all this stuff. It's not coming from here. Because we're here, it's coming from us. But they use now creativity, right? And they're using the demons, right, as the go-between, right, to translate our creativity in the form to put blueprints so they can take and figure out how to use it in their mischief and wicked way. That's why they need the demons to go between, because they can't understand nothing we're talking about, because the analytical mind just can't do it. See? So here we got it right here. This is the problem. Because in the process, right, then you get two extremes. See, because this here is Master Farad Muhammad and the Shia, right? See, they're technical, but they got enough spatial to control it. And they communicate over here with the spatial. See? But then you got the extreme. These people are totally technical. They have no spatial whatsoever. They can't understand nothing we're doing. They don't like us. They think we're stupid because we don't think like them. Then you got here, you got the spatial, totally special. They have no appreciation for the technical. This technical can't communicate with them. They can't communicate with them. They can't communicate with these. These can't communicate with these. They're by themselves here. They're extremes. We don't want them. They're the extremes. These are the devils over here. They're taking our creativity and using it for evil means. So all these technology that you see, that's just the beginning of our minds. Like a baby babbling. That's just beginning. See? We're going to take the heights that you never could imagine before. See? If we wasn't here, then this be still playing banjos, riding horses. Remember, they've been out 6,000 years. There's cameras technology since we've been here. There's cameras technology, beginning technology 500 years ago. Even they start bringing over here, they didn't have any technology. So why is that a coincidence? 5,500 years, they had no technology whatsoever, zero. And as soon as they brought us over here, captured us, all of a sudden, bam, all this technology. You don't make that think you think that's coincidence? And it's only here. So that's what you got. This is devil's hair. Totally technical. And then you got these original people over here, but they're totally spatial. So there you go. We're going to put the two together. We're going to put the righteous technical and the righteous spatial, put the two together. That's the marriage of the Lamb. The two come together. That's the two gods that says, how about? It says the Holy One and the God. The marriage supper of the Lamb. They come together. See? That's the whole story about David, right? He saw Bathsheba. Bathsheba was married to, that's us, married to a abusive husband. So he killed her husband and gave, right, and took her for a wife, right? And she produced Suleiman. The story is right there. See? That's David on the right. Master Muhammad is David. Suleiman is his son. And here you go right here. See? Christianity has two forms to it. See? One side is no consequence. See? You can do whatever you want, right? But you're not going to face consequence, right? Because Jesus gave blood. So one, right? That's the scientific side. They go out and do all the stuff they want, right? Because they feel they control nature, right? But they don't have to fear the consequence of their control. See? That's that one side of Christianity. See, Jesus died. I don't have to worry about nothing. See, I can just go and do whatever I want to do, right? It don't matter because just call him, no consequence. So they can build bombs and all the stuff, all the mischief they said, but because Jesus died, that's one side of Christianity. Other side of Christianity is the one that you hear Farrakhan and Sunnis talk about. We have no control over nothing. See, one side, they control anything, they don't have to face consequence. Other side is they have control, we have control over nothing. We have control of our babies, we have control of producing them, everything is under control of Jesus or Allah, right? We control nothing. Nothing. See? That's the TD Jake side. That's these Christian preachers and everything. We control nothing. It's all up to Jesus. They produce nothing. See? They produce no technology, anything. See? Because you see, church, they're not producing anything. The people they produce don't produce anything either. Just put all trust in Jesus. And then you don't have to worry about nothing. Then when you die, you're going to be... See, that's the two aspects of it. See, those two extremes, we don't need either one of them. One, no consequence. The other one, you can't control nothing. Those are two extremes. See? This has no technical... There's no technical teaching in the church, nothing. Many guys call it, that's why I call it separation, church and state. In the state you control, this church you control nothing. They did that, they made that separation. So here in the church you don't learn nothing about technical control anything. No technology or anything. Over here you don't learn anything about the church. All you learn is about controlling science and controlling everything you can control. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Okay. Now we're going to talk about another subject here. Remember, we're talking about war talk here. Now I'm going to try to break this down, right? Let me see. Let me make a little change here. That moves over. I'm trying to break this down, right? See, so we understand it. I'm trying to make things. I'm in the next few days. I'm gonna try to go over stuff we talked about before. I'm gonna try my best to go more clearly. I'm trying to improve my communication, brothers and sisters. At 72 years old, I don't think that's gonna happen, but I'm trying. I mean, I wonder about that myself. I says, okay, Master Muhammad didn't speak well either. Not English anyway. I know he spoke fluent Arabic, but he didn't speak very well English, right? At least that's what I was told. And like Muhammad didn't speak very well English either. In fact, he stuttered. That's what I'm told. That's what's in Exodus. So you wonder if you have a job that someone you wouldn't need to communicate information, a message, and they can't even speak well. Because Master Muhammad wasn't up for Farrakhan. Read it carefully. Elijah Muhammad said, I need a spokesman. He said, no, you don't. You don't need a spokesman. Just say what I told you to say. Elijah Muhammad insisted, so he said, before I got really hot, angry with him, you don't need a spokesman. Farrakhan, he was chosen. Bullshit. Read Exodus. So you wonder, what's the logic in that? Because the scriptures are atomams. See, they're so powerful that even a person that got a speech impairment could bring down a civilization. Because anybody listen to me know, I mean, especially I get carried away. I'll look back again, I hardly understand what I'm saying myself. Now that's why I got to slow down and be careful, right? So it's so much, brothers and sisters. Okay, here we go right here. Now I'm going to see if I can read some of this. So we're going to talk about this chapter 12. I'm trying to explain it, right? I'm trying to explain it, right? Because I see people get misunderstand, right, how this INJIL work. And it takes a while. It's a language. Brother and sister, it's a language. It's a valid language. It's designed, right, to get your mind working in the proper way, right, to speak mathematical Arabic. No one's speaking mathematical Arabic on this planet right now. Only Master Prophet Muhammad speaks mathematical Arabic. You not speak. They speak a dialect over there. That's why they can't understand the Quran, because the Quran is written in mathematical Arabic, right? But they don't understand it. See, because once you understand English, you can start reading, understand what they're really saying. That's why the Quran says no one can understand what these things says unless you allow Himself or you firmly rooted in knowledge. So we don't want to speak that old Arabic, the Arabic dialect. We want to speak the pure tongue as it says in the scriptures. We'll be taught this pure tongue, right? Which is, and see, in other words, in dialectic Arabic, you got alphabet, just like in English, A, B, C, D, A, Ba, Ka, right? And their whole language depends on that. Not in the spatial world. Because we see our children, they gravitate towards that. Because they speak in ways that, analogies. Because that's the way the spatial people, they talk in analogies. But you have to have analytical, analogy. You have to have an analogy base. They just have an alphabet to work from. So in INJIL, you get a base, you get this key. And so therefore you can say things in it once everybody understands that key. Now I can talk to you based on that key. You know what I'm talking about. I would say, hey man, you know, have you talked to the face of a serpent lately? What the hell you? But if you know INJIL, you know, oh, have you talked to Suleiman lately? You understand? That's another level. See, before you had alphabet, people just, you know, then you got alphabet. Now you can start building a language. Because before you had alphabet, you couldn't read or write anything. You couldn't read anything, right? There was nothing to write. So now you learn the alphabet. Now you can learn to write stuff down. See? So that's a level of communication. That's a level of communication for analytical mind. But spatial mind, right? They develop the keys. And people learn those keys, and then you can talk in relation to that key. You know what you're talking about. You got to memorize the key. And this is one of them. This is one of them. But this key will be gone because most of this key will be gone because most of these nations in the Bible key, they'll be gone. But you're still learning until then you get the new key in the hereafter. And we have several keys. We learn those keys. And then you know you're talking about, it's like you got A, B, C, D, E, F, D. So you have several keys. And then you say, okay, you know you're relating to this key. So then you're talking and everybody knows you talked about because they know that that's the key you're basing off of. So like right now, I can talk to you right now. I say, well, you know, hey man, she's over there with the eagle. I mean, see, you know, oh man, the earth's about to be flooded. That means they're about to water. Orients and everything about to destroy. You see what I'm saying? So I can talk like that because once I understand the key, I can talk to you like that. And nobody else what I'm talking about unless they understand that language. Like if you don't know the alphabet, you can't read. So you have to learn the alphabet before you read. So you can write all you want. People don't know what the hell you read, what you wrote because they don't know the alphabet. But once you learn this, nobody knows what you're talking about. Because they don't know the basis. It's a language, brothers and sisters. And it's a language right now. And once you learn it, I can talk. See, I really don't talk to you this way because I know you understand. Some of you might understand some of it, but I never really talk to you. I never really talk to INJIL anyone. Because I can have complete conversation, everything, just talking to angel. See, like I said, right? Hey, sister, have you talked to the face serpent lately? What the hell are you talking about? See, everybody, what do you think? Talking face serpent, and you know who I'm talking about. See. What's the dragons angels doing? See, I'm talking about God, me, God, and the Antichrist. You see what I'm saying? I said that away, right? And you know what I'm talking about. They wouldn't know what I'm talking about, so I'm talking way over their head. See, because they can't read it, they can't. Just like if somebody can't write, can't read, don't know the alphabet, I can write. I can send them on a mission and in an envelope right in front of their face and kill this fool. I mean, you see movies like that, right? And it's right, he can't read it. So he's walking to a trap, he don't know it. Because he can't read. And the same thing is this here. So that's why they could never understand the angel, because it's a different language. It's a language they're trying to understand analytically. They can't. And once you get up to speed here, then we can talk angel, and nobody hell know what we talked about. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. If I say, hey man, you know, the dragon's angel, first, you know, what dragon, angel, what the hell am I talking about? But you would know what I'm talking about. See? Is Mike going to war with the dragons, angels? What does that mean to anybody outside here? Nothing. But you study it, know what I'm talking about. I keep telling you the language, brother and sister. So I'm okay. I'm just going this short one right here, right? Just for a little piece right here. So talking about, and when the dragon thrown to earth, it persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male, and were given to the woman 2 wings of eagle. So there we know who the eagle is, right? So we talking about the woman's right here. This woman they talking about, this part of the woman. See, at first you think it's one woman, but then you realize it's parts to the woman. So this one's given 2 words in the eagle. So that's where you're talking about this one right here. You're talking about the demons right here, right? And we're given to, or she might fly in the desolate into the place of her. So that means the desolate is here. Also, you know, that gets down to what the abyss is about. Well, let me say is I'm trying to jump here. In fact, I'm gonna have a separate one about that. But see, when you see up here, the curve right here, these 4 winds are also the 4 keys. Because it's talking about 4 keys. I'm gonna have it separate about that one, right? But the top 2 are the doors. So you got 4 keys. To the top 2 are called doors, right? So I'm talking about that another time, right? But when you read the first chapter, it says what? This one says, I got the key of death and Hades, right? Okay, well, death is right here. So if these are keys, that means he's talking about, right, this one down here. Because that would be a key. That would be the key to death. This would be the key to Hades, right? You see? And then he says, and then there was another one, says 4 keys, right? And then the other one says, I'm not key of David. Well, here's David right here. So now I know who David is, because that would be the key right there, because those keys are the same thing, the 4 men. And then the other one says, I got the key to the bottomless pit, right? That'll be here. See, I've never really gotten to that too much with you, but I'm going into a little more detail about that maybe in a day or so, right, about those keys. So anyway, now he's talking about this one here, because that's part of the woman that got 2 wings of eagle. Okay. Where she is nourished, there appoint time, where she appoint times, and half point time from the face of the serpent. So he's not talking about this one, right? See, it's talking about the face of a serpent. So who is the face of a serpent? He is a serpent. We know this would be the face of it, and this would be the mouth of it. We understand the angel key, right? How it works. So the face would be up here. So that means she's been nourished. But see, that would throw you off. Because man, it threw me off for a while. You know, I know it's talking about Suleiman here. I'm saying the face of a serpent. That didn't sound too good. See, the angel language. Then I realized she being right, because that's when Suleiman comes down here, right? And so during this period of time, that she comes in our eye. So she's been nourished for this period of time. So you got to break down what this means. It's not really actually a period of time. It gets back in chapter 18. I've talked about it before. Maybe I'll talk about it again, but not today. So now it's talking about this woman right here, this part of the woman. Because she's the one being nourished by Suleiman, the face of a serpent. Okay, so now you're talking about this one. We're talking about this one and this one. Talking about these two so far, right? Venus and the black one. And then through the serpent out of the mouth of it. What's the mouth of the serpent right here? That's the white one, the demon. That's the mouth. Remember, this is the face of the serpent. This is the mouth right here, right? And through the serpent, the mouth of it behind the woman, behind the woman. So the woman's down here, so it's behind the woman, right? See? Behind the woman, water as river, right? Remember, this is water here is a river, so it's connecting us up, right? And gave the earth, and gave aid to the earth, the woman, opened up the earth, the mouth of it. So the mouth, what's the mouth of the earth? Down here. She's the mouth of the earth, right? I got this showing how these moving up, but this would actually be on the bottom. This be the mouth of the earth right here, right? And drank down the river, which through the dragon. Now it's talking about the dragon, the mouth of the dragon. So it mentions the mouth of the serpent, right? Here's the mouth of the serpent. Here's the mouth of the dragon. Now you know who the dragon is. House of Sod. See? So it's talking about these two right here. This one and this one. This the mouth of the serpent, and this the mouth of the dragon. These two, right? And it's talking about the woman, right? It said the mouth of the earth, right? And gave earth to the woman, opened up the mouth of it. So it's talking about all three of these. This mouth, and this mouth. It mentions all three of them together, right? Why? It mentioned these three. Just these three right here. The mouth of the serpent, right? The mouth of the earth, this one. And the mouth of the dragon, this one. And why? Because when you get here, it was made wrath of the dragon, remember the dragon, upon the woman, and we have to make war with the leftover. Who's left over? You got three here. That's one left over. This one. That's the one that's going to make war with. The seed of her observing the commands of God. In other words, they're obeying, right? See, they're following Islam. Anyway, at this point in time, right, Suleiman's in charge, right? And having the witness of Jesus, remember they call them witnesses, they're witnesses of Jesus because he's in charge, Jesus, Suleiman, right? And stood upon the land. That's what it's talking about. That's why leftover. Why is it leftover? Leftover who? From these. This we mentioned all three of these, and what's left over? What's left over is that one. See the language? I'm just trying to get this is minor stuff. I'm trying to start to appreciate the language because there's a language. Here's a language. See, go inside so you can read it at your own leisure. But there's a language. Powerful language is getting you prepared to think. Getting your mind prepared to think. So when you start getting the grammar of Arabic, right, you'll speak it purely, correctly. The pure tongue, that's what it says. My people will again speak the pure tongue. What they're speaking is dialectic Arabic. It's not the pure tongue, that's why they can't understand the Quran. Quran said these verses are allegorical. That means spatial. Said these verses are allegorical, and none understands about Allah and those firmly rooted knowledge. When it's allegorical, that means spatial. They can't understand it. We can. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Okay, abomination of desolation. Let's deal with that one. Stand in a place where it should not be. Okay. So what I'm going to do for a second here, brothers and sisters, I'm going to take a short little, a couple of minute break. Hold on. Okay, brothers and sisters. we're talking about here is the abomination of desolation. So make sure we understand. Like I said, I'm going to repeat things, go over some things we talked about before, right? So that wind should be flashing like that, but don't worry about it. I kind of like, I've missed things sometimes. So the four winds there, right? Now let me say one thing about those winds. Now two of the winds are already here. African nations already here. See? Because that's, if we talk about Sodom and Gomorrah, right? That's talking about America and Britain. That's Adam and Eve, Gog and Magog, right? So the two of them, they're here already. See? But we have to understand how the key works, right? Because we know when we're up here, that means we're still in America. Remember when it originally still up here, still in America, right? So you got to understand how the key works. Okay, so here we are right now. The sackcloth, that also represents, let me see something, think about something for a second. Okay, sackcloth here, that represents the Shia, right? See? So I'm trying to cover two subjects at the same time, right? So, Cain represents false Israel. Eve is Gog and Adam is Magog. Okay? So right now, JCOP is over. And we know JCOP was when they was down at the bottom down here. And we see, according to INJIL, they're moving up. So the only way to go back to JCOP had to go down. And INJIL does the same thing, they're going back. So that means it's not going back to JCPOA. So we just say that. Okay, so they're at the verge of war. Now the war is taking place. It's boiling point has been hit. War is taking place. America forced Israel and everything's been kicked out. See? They've been defeated. Okay, been pushed out. Now the Shia has control. Has control of the Middle East. Okay? That's about what's about to happen. Okay? And at that time, right, and during that time is when Suleiman comes to the NOI. We talked about that earlier. Because when Master Prophet Muhammad is, when the Shia at war against the dragon, Suleiman will be at war against the demons here. So this is what Ancient of Days says, so he kicks out, right, Farrakhan and his people, right? Okay. So I'm going to cover a couple of things here at the same time. Because it talks about there'll be one last plague. See, there's the sealed Bible plague and the unsealed Bible plague. The sealed Bible plague, we're already witnessing that. 2020 came in, right? It says 1619 and 2019 before 40 years. Then 2020 will be a plague that will kill the firstborn. That means the elderly. But pass over us, which indeed is doing, although some of us don't know it, and we're wearing masks and everything else, we don't need to, right? But also, it also referenced, now we're talking about, that's the sealed version. The unsealed version, it says that, right, the firstborn, that's in the sealed version, the firstborn is elderly. And in the unsealed version, the firstborn is Adam. He's the first one to come out to earth. He's the firstborn, and America comes after him. So he's the firstborn, right? So it says the firstborn, see, in this case, right, it says the plague, the death, right? It says death, the angel of death, right, will come and kill him, will pass over you. You see. But when he sees the blood on the door, right? The lamb's blood on the door, that means he's going to pass over you. So remember I told you earlier, this one here, this blood, that was big. He's the door. These 4 are keys. He's the door. So he sees him on the door. The lamb's blood on the door. So he's also blood. He's the door, also blood, right? And he says he would pass over. So and he said the angel of death. Remember, this represents death right here. Orient represents death. So they would kill him. That means they're going to war. Angel language again, they're going to war. Angel language explaining that part of the book. They're going to war. They're going to be killed. America, same thing with America. Whatever happens in America happens in Britain, because we know they're Siamese twins, right? That's what it's talking about. So he's the firstborn, right? See, and he's over covering us. See, he's covering the Nation of Islam. Suleiman is there, so it's going to pass over them, but kill him, kill the firstborn. When you see blood on the door, that's what it's talking about. The same thing. Both of them talking, but this one, right? This one here, the sealed one, talking about the plague that will come after, right? This one's talking about the plague that will cause to drive you out altogether. This plague will cause you to be driven out altogether. So it's 2 different types of plagues. One's a sealed version, one's an unsealed version. We're already witnessing the sealed version. Now I'm explaining the unsealed version. That's what it means, unsealed. See, because Suleiman would break both down. So here's the sealed version, unsealed version. That's what's talking about, the blow on the door, right? Pass over us, right? The firstborn, be killed by death, the angel of death. Okay? And that plague is, of course, to be driven out altogether. See, there you go. That's when it says you flee. See? It says driven out. Somebody drives you out, right? They don't give you an invitation to leave. They drive you out. They force you out. They're trying to kill you. I said they'll come after you. They're going to trying to kill you. They're going to be trying to wipe you out. That's why they're going to drive you out. How do you think they're going to drive you out? They're going to drive you out all the cities, all the neighborhoods. Got to flee to the mountains. Where was the mountains? The mountains was the 4 winds up here, also called the mountains. So now you're fleeing up here to the mountains. Not no physical mountains out there. Angel language. See? You understand the symbols. So they're going to drive you out. Drive you out all together. Means all together means all of them. Going to drive you out all together. Pay attention to the language. Drive you out all together. Drive you out. Now ask you to leave. Drive you out. How are you going to drive people out of their neighborhood and everything? Under threat of death. People are just going to walk out. Oh man, I want you to get out your house. I want you to leave here. No. You leave under threat of death. Otherwise, you're not going to abandon your house and carry on. Say, we'll drive. The word you drive you all together. All of you. Now, some of you all together. Completely. That's what it's talking about here. And during this time, that's what false Israel was under siege. See? And that's what time let me back up here. See, during this time, he's going to be prophesied to the 4 winds. Prophesied to the 4 winds. See, remember, these are already here. These will already be here. Just ain't doing anything yet. Prophesied 4 winds. See? Tell them what's happening. They're going to listen. That's the Africans here in this country. There's millions of them. See? Now they're here. See, now they're doing something. They're preparing. They're arming themselves. See, they're already here. They're arming themselves because he prophesies to them. Because now he already told them, see, when you see false Israel under siege, when you see the abomination desolation stand in a place that should not be, flee. But they get ready to tear you apart. Because it says, and it said, remember they're pregnant too, so we talk about that too. Because under here, right? So they're not pregnant now because they're leaving. So you got to put the timing right. That's what's happening, brothers and sisters. So false Israel under siege, right? So now they're fleeing because they know once it's too late. Once false Israel goes down, man. Now if false Israel's gone, they're fled, and the African Muslim are fighting. They didn't flee. They're fighting. They're organized. They're fighting. Not fighting for us. See, they're mostly Christian, non-Islamic Africans. See, and who's running them? I don't have a picture here, but that'll be Obama, the lion. He's here. See, he's the one that they're going to be listening to. He's African himself. So let's talk about it. Chapter 17. He's the beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns, but no crowns upon his horns, or no crowns upon his heads. He's alongside the beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns, with crowns upon his horns. So we're talking about, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. See? So I gave the sealed version and the unsealed version. I think that's it. Yes, it is. Try to take time and explain clearly, right? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. INJIL language, you learn the language here. You learn the language here, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. See? But his language is preparing you, right? So when you get the Arabic grammar, you'll speak the pure tongue in ways these people cannot understand. See? It's like before they had the alphabet, nobody could read or write. They probably didn't know anything about writing. If you was out in the jungle, right? Living out in the jungle, you know about reading and writing. That's something you wouldn't even know anything about. You could talk, but you didn't know anything about reading and writing. You started writing, you wouldn't know what that was. See? So then you learn the alphabet. Now you can read and write. See? But now you learn a new way of communicating. The spatial way that they don't understand. And that's what I'm trying to get you back to that. That's what INJIL's all about. I told you, the whole thing to get you back, say, give thorough knowledge of self, get the proper way of thinking. Because we don't think like they do. We don't talk like they do. You see how children is coming out in them because they talking stuff and allegory. Nobody hell know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about. They use a lot of allegorical stuff. Like they call you, hey dog. I tell them, don't call me no damn dog. I told dude, hey dude, come, eased up on me. Hey dog. I said, man, I look like a dog to you. You know, thought I was crazy. I told, hey man, But what they're saying is, they don't mean calling you, because what's the implication? A dog's a man's best friend. That's what's the underlying meaning behind it. At least that's where I understand it. So you say, man, dog, why you call me a dog? So I, in that sense, I was kind of out of it too, right? I should have understood the implication, right? Hey man, you call me. But if I understand it correctly, he was just saying, hey, you're my best friend. So it's really a nice way of saying, it's like I said about face of a serpent. Man, I'm face of a serpent. But when you understand underlying meaning, it doesn't have nothing to do with the serpent. It's just the allegorical language. So they say dog, if I got it right, they ain't calling you no dog. The underlying reason is the idea has, man, you're man's best friends. That's really something saying nice to you. That's the language that's coming out in our children. It's coming out, right? Because that's their natural way of thinking. They starting to get back to their natural way of thinking. And some of you tell them, don't think like that, man. Stop talking like that. Think analytical like Farrakhan. We need to think analytical, think like him. I don't want to think like that. It's a whole new way of thinking. Your whole way you communicate, you won't communicate. You communicate like this. See? Just like they set up alphabet, somebody says, well, we do A, B, C, C. They say, well, these are verbs, these are nouns, right? Say the same thing. We're going to set up keys like this. Everybody learn in school certain keys, right? And you have advanced ones and everything, and then you talk based on those keys. And it'd be much more powerful, more beautiful than anything you're talking now. Look at the INJIL. Once you get INJIL, it's powerful. See how beautiful it is. That's whole language. No language like that can compete with this. Even them, the people who understand the INJIL, they say that's a beautiful book, man. They read it so beautiful, man. All the stuff in this. They don't even understand, but they recognize the beauty. Your language is going to be totally different. It won't be anything like this. You're going to go to another level. You're going above alphabet. You're going to keys. And you're going to learn those keys. Then you're going to learn to say, communicate based on those keys. And nobody's, that look might have no idea what you're talking about, but you know what you're talking about. And it'll be more beautiful because it's more powerful. A, just A, B. But when you say whole thing, you say, man, look what you would have to say in English, right? If you wanted to say, oh man, Michael went to war with the dragon. Now you know the key. But if you say English, you got to say, well, Master Muhammad and the seer, right, explain who they are, right? And they went to war with a dragon and went to war with America and Gog and Magog. You said all of that when you just said, hey, Michael went to war with the dragon. I mean, that's a simplistic way of saying it. But you said all of that, but they had to say all that stuff to say, and you just said simply like that, that Michael went to war with the dragon. You understand the key? So you said a whole lot with very few words. See? Whole lot with very few words. See? See? Or there's going to be a flood on the earth. See? Okay, well, you know right away, what does that mean? That means the rivers and the seas, right? The seas represent the Orient, and the rivers went to Asia, right? So it's going to be so that means you're saying India and China, right, is going to war with the European countries and drown them out. You see, that's what you're saying. But all you had to do is say, hey, right, there's going to be a flood on the earth. You understand that key right there? You said all that just by saying that. That's why the story is so powerful. Just like the Adam and Eve story, it's just one page, but look all the information that's in there. Look at the INJIL. There's only 22 small chapters, and look all the information that's in there. Now, if you took and tried to write all that stuff the INJIL's saying in a book, you know how big that book would be? If you tried to write all the information, look all the stuff we've been talking about, all the videos and everything we're talking about the INJIL, and there's a whole lot more that we haven't touched yet. So if you try to write this in a book, try to explain all the stuff in the book that INJIL is telling you, right? You'll be writing books from now to forever. If you try to translate all this information into allegorical language where they can understand, you'll be writing your book will be so big you wouldn't be able to read it. You wouldn't be able to carry it. It'd be a whole library. But yet still all the information in just 22 chapters. That's how powerful the analytical language is. And that's the kind of language you're going to talk in hereafter. And you will understand it perfectly. And it's going to be more powerful. And you have to say very much to say a lot. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. I think I talked a long time I didn't expect to, but, and, I want to say one last thing. Right, let me move on to, let's close this out here. Those of you understand, I've been talking about death. I said I might follow up on that, right? Hope nobody misunderstood on that, right? You control the side. The bottom line is, death is when the pressure of the reality, right, becomes greater than your personal pressure. Your personal pressure is based on how powerful your thoughts are. Your powerful thoughts are, right, depends on, right, how, you know, basically, right, your slots, your 5 fundamental, because that's how strengthen. It's like you strengthen your muscles. You go to, well, you strengthen those. That means you strengthen your whole thought, your whole being, So now you build all this, so your pressure is greater. Your thought pressure is greater than the pressure of reality. That means you control the reality. But when the pressure of reality becomes greater than your thought, then it crushes you out of existence. That's death. That's what death is. And it comes in all kinds of forms. But when you have, then it can't come, you can't touch you in any kind of way. So I hope you understand that. I hope I made that clear. But some of us, we're very reluctant to say we don't understand something. That's a bad, because how you gonna understand it then? You get emotional, say, oh man, I don't want nobody to know. Well, then they're gonna know when they ask you can answer. So you might as well just go ahead and ask the question. I don't worry about what they're saying. If I don't know, I'm gonna ask you. Believe me. And you can loudmouth tell everything else, but once you answer, I got the answer, don't I? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.